It is midnight in the city, and the temple of Athena loomed like a silent sentinel, its marble columns gleaming as though kissed by the gods themselves. The air was thick. There was this mingling scent of myrrh, incense, rising in slow, spiraling tendrils towards the heavens. At the heart of this sacred space, beneath the unyielding gaze of Athena, her towering effigy standing proud and erect, a lone woman knelt. Her dark hair fell in disheveled waves over her trembling shoulders, tears falling down her streaked face, lifting in desperation to the goddess of wisdom and war. "Great Athena," she began, her voice cracking as it shattered the stillness. "Unmatched goddess, hear me. I come to you, broken and fearful, begging for your mercy. My husband, my heart, he marches to war. He is brave, fierce, and noble, but even the greatest mortal warriors cannot stand alone against the chaos of battle. Please, goddess, lend him your strength. Protect him from the blades of his enemies, guide his hand and shield his heart." The woman paused for a moment, her hands clutched at the helm of her cloak, twisting the fabric as though she could twist her anguish into something tangible. The ever-flickering light of the oil lamps simply danced across Athena's carved visage, casting shifting shadows that made the goddess and her expression seem almost more alive. "Do you know what he means to me?" she cried, her voice rising in a wail that echoed through the temple. "He's not just a man, Athena. He is my sun, my stars, my very reason for being. Without him, the world is nothing but a cold and empty void. Every beat of my heart, every breath I take is for him. Please, merciful goddess, do not take him from me." Memories surged through her like an unstoppable tide. She saw his face, stern, yet kind, his eyes alight with a fire that had first drawn her in. She saw him donning his armor, his expression resolute as he prepared to join his comrades. She even imagined him standing amidst the maelstrom of battle, his shield raised, his spear a blur as it struck down his foes. But her mind, treacherous and cruel, conjured visions of his fall, of his essence pooling to the earth, his lifeless eyes staring into oblivion, his greatness erased, nothing to come home to, nothing to come back to, a body that would find its way on that field and never return to her. This image haunted her beyond belief. A strangled sob escaped her lips as she pressed her forehead to the cold marble floor. "I offer you everything," she whispered, her voice trembling. "Take my beauty, my youth, my very soul if you must. Just bring him back to me. I swear to honor you with every breath I have. I will sing your praises in every temple, weave your name into every story I tell our children. Only grant me this one thing. Protect him. Please, great goddess, I beg of you." The air around her seemed to grow heavier, charged with an unearthly energy that made the hairs on the back of her arms stand on end. There was a sudden gust of wind, and it extinguished one of the lamps, plunging part of the temple into shadows. The darkness twisted and writhed, coalescing into a form that made the woman stop and pause for a moment. It couldn't be. No! When she lifted her tear-streaked face, she saw her. The goddess herself. Athena, the goddess, stood in all of her splendor. Her radiant armor, and even her presence, was a symbol of strength and grace. Her eyes burned with an intensity that pierced into the woman's mortal soul, lighting it ablaze. "Mortal," Athena intoned, her voice a melody of thunder and steel. "Rise." The woman staggered to her feet, her knees trembling beneath her. She stared at the goddess, awe and terror warring inside of her heart. "Your cries have reached Mount Olympus," Athena said, her tone commanding. "Tell me, why should your husband be favored above the countless warriors who fight in my name?" The woman collapsed. She clasped her hands and brought them right to her chest, her words spilling forth in a torrent of emotion. "Because he is not just a warrior," she pleaded. "He fights not for glory, not for riches, but for love. For me, for our family, for the peace of our land. He carries my heart into every battle. Should he fall, it is not just his life that would be forfeit. I would fall with him. Please. I love him, goddess, more than life itself. I would follow him into the underworld if it meant we could be together forever." Athena's gaze softened for a moment. Even still, her divine presence remained unyielding, just as unyielding as the marble pillars that surrounded them. "Your love burns brightly, mortal, a flame that defies even the cruelest of winds. Very well, I shall grant your plea." The woman fell to her knees once more, tears streaming anew. "Thank you, merciful goddess. Thank you." Athena raised a hand, silencing her with a gesture. "Hear me, child," she said. "Power comes at a price. Your husband shall be victorious, his strength unparalleled. He will stand at the beacon of battle, and he will win on that battlefield, a tempest none can withstand. Yet, war changes men. He will return to you, but he may not be the same. Can you bear this burden?" "Yes," the woman said without hesitation. "Whatever it takes. I will love him, no matter what scars he bears. On his flesh, on his soul, I will be his sanctuary. I will be the light that guides him back from the darkness." Athena paused for a moment and nodded, her expression inscrutable. She extended her hand, and a golden light simply enveloped the temple. The woman shielded her eyes, her heart pounding with a mixture of hope and fear. When the light faded, Athena's voice echoed like thunder. "Your husband shall have my blessing. His spear shall strike true, his shield shall hold firm. His enemies will fall before him. But remember this, war is not merely fought with weapons. The wounds of the heart and mind can be deeper than any blades cut. Be his anchor when he returns. Only then will you truly protect what is yours and what you will hold dear." With that, the goddess vanished, leaving the temple in silence once more. The woman collapsed forward, her hands clutching the ground as she sobbed, gratitude overwhelming her. In her mind's eye, she saw him, her husband, a vision of unyielding strength on the battlefield, his enemies scattered like leaves before a storm, their cries drowned by the roar of his courage. She saw him returning to her, his armor battered but his spirit unbroken. Her heart swelled with hope, tempted by the weight of Athena's words. The distant rumble of thunder rolled across the sky, a sign, perhaps, that her prayers had been answered. She remained kneeling, her tears soaking into the marble floor. She whispered her thanks to the goddess. In that sacred moment, Her love for her husband had felt as vast and unyielding as the heavens above. The only problem was, she didn't quite understand what Athena meant when she said that her husband would come back changed, that war would scar him. Perhaps if she knew, she would have been prepared for what was to come.